New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Live from a secure concrete bunker somewhere in Ohio, New Thought Media Network presents Pastor Michael Mangus with Friday's Fireside Chat, spiritual conversation for today. Here he is from the secret radio room, surrounded by thousands of watts, Pastor Michael Mangus.
Yes, as the thousands cheer. Well, good evening to everyone across the United States and also around the world. It is time once again for another fun-filled, thrill-packed, and yes, guaranteed always exciting edition of the Fireside Chat here on your New Thought Media Network. I am Reverend Michael Mangus, broadcasting from the secret radio room surrounded by thousands, and I mean thousands of watts, in the secure concrete bunker somewhere around Akron, Ohio, that is so top secret. Only one person knows where it is located, and that is my producer, Diego Reyes. Everyone else, especially our chief inspirational officer, the Reverend Robert Brzezinski, he has no clue where it's located, and he has sent radio tracking devices up and down. I've seen them going up and down the street, but they have no clue where I'm located. And we're going to keep it that way. Once again, we have a wonderful show for you this evening. So please feel free to interact with us by posting your comment. And for all my shy people out there, love to see and read your emails during the week. Please feel free to contact me at pastormichaelmangus@gmail.com. pastormichaelmangus@gmail.com. Well, the purpose of the Fireside Chat is for all of us to grab our cup of coffee or cocoa, to cozy up to the fire, and to get real about what is going on in our world from a New Thought perspective. And as I keep saying, I want us all to have a new thought about what is going on around us, not only here in the United States, but also around the world. And again, you don't have to agree with me. I'm just giving you things to think about here, about the whole idea that we are one. So what is our part in bringing about a world that does work for everyone? Our guest this evening is the minister of CSL Denver and also the newest adjunct faculty member at Holmes Institute, the Reverend Elzia Sekou. And we'll be discussing with Reverend Z the Akron, Ohio vote here to establish a civilian review board to oversee the Akron Police Department and also other issues. Reverend Z will be teaching the Islam class this winter term to our ministerial students. So good for him. Reverend Elzia Sekou will be our guest in the second half of our program. Wayne's asking, well, how do you practice oneness? You realize and recognize that you're interconnected with everyone else. I'm connected with you, Wayne. That's right. We're wholly in the flow, divine chill. An early happy Thanksgiving to those celebrating this Thursday here in the United States. And the things that I am grateful for is including my producer, Diego Reyes, who keeps me on the straight and narrow here on the New Thought Media Network. I'm extremely, he's going, yeah. He's the one that gets called into the office on Monday to talk to Robert, not me. I'm extremely grateful for this platform, the New Thought Media Network, and all the wonderful people that I've met here through this network. And I'm grateful for my boss, my supervising and sponsoring minister, the Reverend Robert Brzezinski, who has been nothing but supportive of me being a part of this network. To Reverend Robert, Diego and I are waiting for our year-end bonus. We have not received that in our checks yet. And also Winston, our staff mascot, Winston Churchill, the staff mascot here at the New Thought Media Network, is waiting for his year-end treats also. All right. Lots of news to get to this evening. All from CNN. A potentially historic storm is bearing down on the western New York state, bringing treacherous snowfall and temperatures 20 degrees below normal. The snowfall will produce near zero visibility, difficult to impossible travel, damage to infrastructure, and also paralyzing the hardest hit communities, the National Weather Service said on Thursday. A state of emergency has been declared in 11 counties, and commercial traffic has been banned since Thursday on around 130 miles of New York's I-90 freeway. The storm's most intense snow is expected to lash the Buffalo, New York area, where, get this, more than 4 feet, 4 feet of the white stuff could pile up, making for an accumulation not seen in more than 20 years. So that's why I'm so grateful also for my snowblower being fixed this week. You never know. We're not that far away from Buffalo. And what's affecting Buffalo, it's called lake effect. Only happens in about 4 or 5 places around the world. But what happens is the wind comes off of the Great Lakes and produces these horrendous accumulations. In other news here, another employee exodus appears to be underway at Twitter after many workers rejected Elon Musk's terms for staying with the company. According to current and former employees, this comes after Musk gave employees until Thursday at 5 to commit to extremely hardcore work or else leave the company. Following Thursday's exits, remaining employees received an email alerting them that Twitter offices will be temporarily closed, and also badge access will be restricted through Monday, according to a copy of an email that was obtained by CNN. The story interests me because one of the reasons that Mr. Musk said that he was going to purchase Twitter was that he was going to allow free speech. And individuals back on who were previously banned on the platform, including former President Donald Trump. Now, it seems from the reports that Elon Musk he's retracted that. Mr. Trump has not been allowed back on the platform. Listen, I'm all for free speech here, but there's limits to it. You can't yell fire in a crowded building or at a movie theater. When you use social media to spread lies and divisions, there needs to be limits. And personally, I feel that we need to have the fairness doctrine back. That says that if you are a radio, TV, or cable channel, that you must give time for the opposing view. Now, what has populated the radio airwaves, since that's the media that I'm most familiar with, that has populated the airwaves since the ending of the fairness doctrine has been the proliferation of right-wing talk shows that are aired because they draw an audience which turns into advertising dollars. It's not about the message, it's about the money that it generates. So how about an opposing view on our media? That's something to think about. Well, hi there. Good evening. This is the Friday Evening Fireside Chat here on your New Thought Media Network. I am Reverend Michael, and I am going through the news here. Our next story is about student loans. The Justice Department indicated in a court filing on Thursday that it plans to ask the Supreme Court to reinstate President Joe Biden's student debt relief program. We are confident in our legal authority to carry out this program, and we will be taking this fight to the Supreme Court so that the borrowers can get clarity and relief that they deserve quickly. Under the rules of the program, eligible borrowers can receive up to $20,000 of relief under certain terms, but it may take several months for the court actions. And again, several groups have opposed to this, saying that the president does not have the legal right to do this. It's going to take several months for the court actions to play out before any federal student loans can be canceled. Access to higher education is a moral, societal, and spiritual issue. Why is that? It's because individuals have more opportunities available to them because of their skill set. The same goes for trade schools. Who says that you have to go to college? Again, why aren't we continuing education beyond the 12th grade here in the United States? Saddling individuals with an average of over $30,000 of debt coming out of school, $30,000 of debt graduating from college and universities. What it does, it takes away from economic spending. So what if individuals making the average monthly payment of $400 a month, that they were able to take that payment and to buy a home, buy a car, other items, even save for retirement? Forgiveness of these loans benefits everyone. And again, from our Judeo-Christian tradition, again, we are taught forgiveness. The whole idea of, again, that there needs to come a time, even in Jewish tradition, every seventh year, again, that debts are forgiven. Also, in other news here, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said on Thursday she will relinquish her leadership post, a move that marks an end to an era and also sets up a major shakeup for the House Democrats. Pelosi's announcement came one day after this CNN projected Republicans will win control of the House of Representatives as the Democrats maintain a narrow Senate majority. It is likely that Pelosi, the only woman to serve as the Speaker, will continue in the House as a California lawmaker. And guess who announced his presidency or his candidacy this week for the president? Yes, Donald Trump, once again, is running for office in 2024. That's going to be interesting if he has to, if he wins and has to serve his term of office in prison. Again, there's a lot of different legal actions that are happening here. From Los Angeles, my message is that we are going to solve homelessness. That's from Democrat Karen Bass, who delivered a victory speech on Thursday after being elected the first female mayor of Los Angeles. In her remarks, Bass vowed to solve the homelessness problem in the city and call on voters to become part of the solution as she embarks on an effort, now get this, to try to house more than 40,000 people who are living on the streets. So during this holiday time, if you could, please financially support the agencies that work with the homeless in your town or city. Being able to have a roof over one's head on these cold nights, especially in those cities where the temperature will drop well below zero, is a life and death issue. Can we not have compassion for those who are going through mental and addiction issues? The Peter Marin Center, part of the Catholic Workers Movement here in Akron, has teams of volunteers, and I've seen them do this. People who are on the sides of the road with their cardboard signs asking for donations, that they will go up to them. Again, it's usually 3 or 4 people that go up and ask them how are they doing and how can they help. So I encourage you to find an agency in your area and give a very generous financial gift to them this holiday season. Finally, in the news, we do have an article that we'll talk about with Reverend Z here coming up, but this is the final article for this portion. The Senate clears key procedural steps on the bill to protect same-sex marriage. The Senate on Wednesday cleared a key procedural hurdle towards the historic passage of the bipartisan bill to protect same-sex and interracial marriages, voting 62 to 37% to break the filibuster. Wednesday's successful test vote signals that the bill is on a glide path to success, a remarkable turn of events given how contentious the issue of same-sex marriage was just a few years ago. While the bill would not set a national requirement that all states must legalize same-sex marriage, it would require individual states to recognize another state's legal marriage. So in the event that the Supreme Court might overturn its 2015 ruling that legalized same-sex marriage, the state could still pass a law to ban same-sex marriages, but that state would also be required to recognize a same-sex marriage license from another state. What surprised me here was the Republicans that went ahead and broke rank, including my own state senator, Republican Rob Portman, who is leaving office, who has a gay married son. Interesting. So it's issues like the LGBTQIA rights that we continue to not only keep in prayer, but we also continue to voice our support for our brothers and sisters. And let me tell you something. They banned same-sex marriages here in Ohio. Yours truly will get the van and start taking couples to another state to be legally married. So help me God. Okay, 19 minutes and 22 seconds, Diego. Was that good or not? Oh, that was within the 20. Show them what happens when I go over 20 minutes. He just takes me out of the picture. We're so pleased to have, again, in the second half of our program, one of our a person who you've seen a lot here on New Thought Media Network as he gives his wonderful commentary, and also is one of our Sunday speakers here coming up from the Center for Spiritual Living Denver. The Reverend Elzia Sekou will be on with us here in just a few moments. So for some announcements here, yours truly is parking himself at Summit CSL. For more information, go to summitcsl.org. There you will find information about our wonderful Sunday gatherings online at 10:30 Eastern, 7:30 Pacific time. Yes, we do have people that come on our Zoom call all the way from California. Grab your cup of coffee, your tea, your espresso, your boba tea, your cocoa, whatever that you would like. And please join us. I really do believe that we have one of the best services in New Thought. And this Sunday, live and direct, we will have a message from our newly licensed Center for Spiritual Living minister, the Reverend Michael Mangus. Go to summitcsl.org for more information on how to join our Zoom call. So we also have simulcast of our service on the Summit Spiritual Center of Akron Facebook page, and also our Facebook page also has past broadcasts of the Fireside Chat, and also yours truly when he's praying on the New Thought Media Network. We have so many new programs. We're also working on a super secret project, which I can't tell you about, but it's coming. And we will tell you more as the days progress into 2023. So find out about all the wonderful programs that we have here by going to ntmedia.org. There we have a full schedule of all the wonderful programs that we have here. And also, if you could, please go to our donate page. Partner with us. That's the best amount of money that comes out of my checking account every single month, is because I am a sustaining donor, is that, again, it just comes automatically out of my account. And it really goes to help us get this message to the whole world. Not only to the United States and also Canada, but around the world, people are being affected by our broadcast. This is our time. This is our season. So again, for all of those out there who say, well, we should get this message out to the world, we're doing it here on New Thought Media Network. So help us, please. newthoughtmedia.org/donate. All right, time for a break, and then we'll be back with the Reverend Elzia Sekou. You're watching the Friday Evening Fireside Chat here on your New Thought Media Network.
Watch me change when you change the way you look at things. The things you look at change. When you change the way you look at things. The things you look at change. When you change the way you look at things. The things you look at change. When you change the way you look at things. The things you look at change.
And it is our honor this evening to have one of our commentators here who is on several shows here on the New Thought Media Network, who is the senior minister of the Center for Spiritual Living in Denver, Colorado. We welcome to our platform this evening the Reverend Elzia Sekou. Good evening, Reverend Z. How are you?
Good evening. Good evening. Oh, I'm doing well and so glad to be here to to talk about these very pointed issues that are well worth pontificating on and working towards making them the best that they could be in terms of getting out information, following up on the change. And so I'm just happy to be here.
Well, thank you again for being here in such short notice. So I wanted to share with you some news since I had you on when the Jalen Walker shooting happened during the summer. I wanted to have you on to give you some good news here. And the story goes, wow. 62% of Akron said yes to issue 10, sending police oversight plans to the council and mayor. And this is by Doug Livingston of the Akron Beacon Journal. It says a campaign born out of protest in the days after the death of Jalen Walker ended when the polls closed at 7:30 p.m. on Election Day. Akron decided that it would go further than it has in the past to oversee its police. With every precinct counted, it was over 61%, 61.7% of the Akron voters said yes to Issue 10, which tasks the city council and the mayor with crafting new rules for more robust civilian oversight board and police auditor next year. And Judy Hill, who is the president of the Akron NAACP and also a leading proponent of the police reform initiative, put on the ballot and approved by the citizens. He said the people of Akron have spoken. So what happened was that there were two proposals that were put in front of Mayor Dan Horgan. One was one that he crafted, and the other one that was crafted by the NAACP and also other community leaders. It took them 7 weeks, which is so much a shorter time in politics. It took them 7 weeks to get 7,000 signatures to put this on the ballot. And what happened is that, again, that close to 62% of the voters here in Akron went ahead and approved it. I wanted to read, I was reading earlier some of the comments here. And it said here from the self-described conservative Christian who went ahead and voted against issue 10. He says, I don't have a problem with there being an independent auditor, but I feel like 3 individuals might have been a little excessive. Isn't that interesting? And also some Akronites also objectively categorized to external or categorically did not want external oversight of the police department. Matthew Gooden said he opposed issue 10 as he left his polling location in Ellett. He said, I don't see the point. He said, why would we police the police? Reverend Elzia Sekou, your comments on that, please.
Well, well, first and foremost, I want to just put Akron, Ohio in the light, right? Because some of you may or may not know that Akron, Ohio was a stop on the Underground Railroad. Mm-hmm. Also, in 1914, Marcus Garvey started the Universal Negro Improvement Association in Akron, Ohio. Mm-hmm. And throughout history, they've been proponents, if you will, of racial equality. Sojourner Truth spoke there, as well as W.E.B. Du Bois. Now, so that kind of sets the stage when we're looking at these this issue passing of issue 10. And I find it interesting. I had to go check the stats, right? So in the 2022 census, there are roughly 189,000 citizens of Akron, Ohio. Mm-hmm. The breakdown, and I'll let the audience do the math. Here's the breakdown of the population. 59% white, 29% black, mm-hmm. 5% multiracial, mm-hmm. 4.5% Asian. And when you take out the 59% of the white population, it very well indicates that if 30% said yes, a lot of the white citizens said yes.
Yes.
To this bill. So it's got wide support for police to be held accountable, or any public official that has a gun to be held accountable and not be able to just do business as usual when they have these guns.
So I was telling Elzia before the show, the story continues. The 8 officers that were involved in the Jalen Walker shooting They have all been put back onto desk duty here in Akron, and the police chief citing safety issues. He said that many of the police officers after the summer have turned in their badge. They have opted for early retirement. So I find that very interesting, Elzia. Why would they do something as controversial as that? Having those officers, again, the investigation still is ongoing. They have not, again, it's an independent investigation. It's being done by the state of Ohio. And I also understand that the FBI and also other federal authorities are also involved in this. But again, there has been no comprehensive conclusion yet. And then the chief goes ahead and he puts these 8 officers back on desk duty. I don't understand that.
Well, I mean, there's a culture in police departments across the country. Now, a lot of them are changing because we have some chief of police and captains and law enforcement officers who take their job seriously and want to be as fair and equitable as possible. But in a lot of cases, you have that blue wall that you hear people talk about, right? They want to protect theirs. So they didn't want to put these guys on unpaid leave because if they're on a desk job, they're still getting paid.
Yes.
And I'm sure they could have gave some incentives to some of the people who were retiring and say, look, we'll give you this kind of bonus. We'll give you this kind of extra to your retirement or days off or whatever until we can get over here and recruit more officers.
Yes.
Meanwhile, Jalen is in the grave.
So anyone who says that, see, Elzia, if it was just, for example, like one isolated incident, first of all, one is enough. But
Right.
This has been a systemic problem here I'm speaking just here in Akron, Ohio. This has been a systemic problem of overkill, mostly of African-American men. Again, the whole driving while black here in town is very dangerous. And so that's one of the reasons why the community officials, the people in, again, the African-American community, they got such widespread support. And what was wonderful, Elzia, was that, again, that we got young people out to the polls of every race, creed, and color. We got they got out to the polls and they voted again for police reform. I want to say something too. Sometimes individuals will say, well, you're anti-police when you mention this. No, I am absolutely for the police. Anybody who says that otherwise, we have some bad apples, though. And we also have a systemic culture within the police department that needs to end, that we need to, again, to maybe retire a lot of the police officers, again, in a systematic way, and also retraining individuals, not in law enforcement, but as peace officers. What happened to peace officers? So we've militarized our police departments. They come out in their SWAT vehicles and with their semi-automatic guns, of which, again, that's fine. But I think, again, that we need to have more training of our police officers, plus also weeding out some of these people, again, that to have a young man who was stopped for a broken taillight. All right. Yes, he did take off. Wouldn't you? Wouldn't you take off? So again, and they said they saw him reaching. Again, there's certain body cam footage that we haven't seen yet. So that's what I'm saying again, that what I say is this: we have a moral and ethical issue here in Akron, again, to hold the people that do keep us safe. We hold them to a high standard, and we say, listen, we are here. We want reform. We don't want to defund the police. We want reform. And we also want you held accountable, especially when incidents like this happen, where again, that they fired on him, Elzia, 60 rounds with 48 hitting him. And you're saying
like
that we should not investigate? I don't understand that. Or that, well, why are they bashing in windows downtown Akron? I'm surprised they didn't set the whole city on fire. It says we have to again hold the police accountable here. Especially for our African American young men. Go ahead, Z.
Yeah, well, I think, one of the good things I think about this citizen board is just that. It's a citizens review board. And if they do the job correctly, they'll have a great cross section of the community to make it up. I'm not sure how many will be on that board, or would be more than one, and how they plan to implement everything. But if it's in true to fashion, given the citizens review board, we should have great representation, and everyone that's selected should be of the mindset, we want to make this better, right? We want to make life in Akron better for Blacks, for sure, because they seem to be getting the most of the spear here, but for everybody. See, the thing, and I was talking with a friend today, actually, has a biracial marriage and has a son who's biracial, obviously. And they now are able to look at, before that, when you talk about pulled over because you're Black while driving, well, now that has a whole new meaning to my white friend who has a Black son now.
Yes.
And so it takes a whole new meaning that, that means my son may be stopped. So now that person has to begin to think about, when that kid leaves the house, I need you to check in. Where you going? Where you going to be? What time you leaving? When you expect to get there? Because at any moment, something could happen. Now, for the average white teenager or white kid, their parents don't have to think about that.
No. And it's called the talk. And it's something that, again, that African-American parents have to have with their kids about what kind of behavior do you have when you're pulled over? And that, again, that let us fight it out in court here. Don't do anything rash here. We'll go ahead and we'll take care of it on the other end. So to give you more information about the police board here, there are 9 citizens that I think that they are appointed by either the mayor's office or, and then there's 3 independent. Now, we do have a police auditor that's been in place for a few years because of another incident. He was only on part-time duty. And so finally, the beginning of the year is that they went ahead and the mayor's office went ahead and put him to full-time and also gave him an assistant. So over the past several years, there has been 200 complaints against the Akron Police Department. And to that young man who went ahead and gave his opinion, the reason that we have to investigate the police is because of actions like what we experienced over the summertime with Mr. Jalen Walker is that, yes. And I'm just very heartened by the whole idea of the community coming together, passing this, getting this on the ballot, despite the mayor and some council members saying, well, we don't want that. We want to appoint the board. Okay. So what happened is that members of the NAACP, also the ministers, we have a very strong ministers coalition here in Akron. They said, no way. So they went out there, they mobilized the troops. They got 7,000 signatures before the deadline to go ahead and put this on the ballot. And then again, 62% of the Akron voters, which also many white voters and also young people, they went ahead and they said, we need reform here in Akron. And again, to all the politicians that say, well, we don't.
Right.
Yeah. Again, we have a young man in a box, and that we need to, what we did a couple of weeks ago shows the power of the people when we get together and we move on this, despite all the political backlash that, the mayor's office gave, and also the city council. Go ahead, Z.
Yeah, well, I'm sitting there looking at this round table. I would love to be a fly on the wall at that round table where serious issues are discussed about how do we protect the citizens of Akron, Ohio? How do we create an environment where our constituents feel safe? And we don't have to worry about windows being broken or stores being looted or burned, because everybody knows that we are working hard to be as equitable and as fair and to administer as much justice as possible. And that's what part of the challenge is for our whole country, I believe, is that we have to begin to reacquaint ourselves with these terms and what they mean. What does it mean to be equitable? Equitable does not mean to be equal, right? My friend was a NFL running back. There's no way I'm going to be equal to him. He's like 6'2". I'm 5'6", 160 pounds, soaking wet with rocks in my pocket, and we're just never going to be equal. But we can be treated equitably, right?
Yes.
And that's what people are looking for. And that's not only in the Black community, it's in the LGBTQ community, it's in any so-called marginalized community that are not being able to sit to the table, have conversations, and play the game fairly. And it's like if you sit down to play chess, may the best man win. You can't cheat on chess unless you start taking pieces off the board or something.
Yes.
Other than that, it's my strategy against yours.
And this is the Friday Evening Fireside Chat here on the New Thought Media Network. I am Reverend Michael. I'll tell you what, it's putting that Reverend before my name. It's been kind of interesting since for years I wasn't able to do that. So,
yes.
And thank you so very much for being and helping me on the panels. And Z was part of the team that babysat me during the capstone finals. They have to have someone proctor you during the last 10 exams before you're even allowed to go in front of a licensing panel. So tell us about your wonderful community, CSL Denver. What is going on there?
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Well, as with everybody, pandemic threw a monkey wrench in everybody's physical location. And we had a location, which was a great location, right downtown Denver in the Wash Park area. And due to the pandemic, we lost that space. However, I believe we have an even greater space at the historic Grant Avenue Center and Sacred Space, which is at 216 South Grant Street in Denver. It's a church, a Methodist church that was built in 1908. And it's a great place. We're getting started. We currently meet in person on the first and third Sundays, and we stream them all. But in first and third, we meet in person at this lovely location. So if you're in the area, come by. If you're on the sound of this voice, tune into www.csldenver.org and catch the Sunday service at 10 Mountain Time. But we're looking to do in the new year, we're looking to do some mighty work in the neighborhood to begin to make coalitions with other organizations, whether they're community centers or churches or nonprofits or schools, where we can begin to create pretty much what I see them doing with this issue 10 is create coalitions of people who are concerned, who care, and who are willing to do the work. And that's what we're looking to do. So I'm excited.
Well, how wonderful. I just, so I was thinking about, we've had individuals go ahead and put into the chat, not tonight, but in the past, they would say, well, this is not the new thought of the 90s. Why are you bringing up social issues like this? People in the past never did that. Ernest Holmes never did. So why should we bring up issues like that, Reverend Elzia Sekou? Go ahead.
Well, I would first question anyone who said Dr. Holmes did not talk about issues of the day, because when there was a African-American minister in LA, and we'll leave all the names out, that they were going to not support him, Dr. Holmes came to the center and said, I support this individual 100%. And if you don't support him, then you don't support me. And I'm paraphrasing, but that's what happened. And so that's number one. But number two, our congregations, our constituencies are concerned about these issues of social justice because it's affecting their lives. It's affecting their kids' lives. And so if you're telling me as a spiritual center, church, mosque, synagogue, that you're here to provide me with leadership and guidance and solace, but I can't talk about the issues I'm faced with every day, yet you still want me to give my tithes and time to your organization, then I need to pump the brakes.
People don't understand that, again, that we are saying, yes, it is still something that we need to deal with in race consciousness, yes, and that we also need to be, again, to affecting the race consciousness by speaking up and speaking out, getting on the streets, getting people together to put together, again, initiatives like Issue 10 to, again, this is what happens when everyone, again, speaks up and speaks out against this stuff and then goes ahead and, again, it was a miracle what happened here in Akron, as far as with, again, because they did not have a whole lot of time to put that together. What is your view, Reverend Z, on the current bill that's going through the Senate right now about legalizing same-sex and also interracial marriages?
I mean, that should be a foregone conclusion, that if you start trying to legislate morality, which is what this gets down to, you're going to run into a brick wall. And so, you cannot, if you begin to legislate morality and how people live their lives, then we're going to be moving toward a dictator state, a fascist state, where everything you do is controlled and it better fit in the box. Or if it doesn't, you're subject to a whole manner of disciplinary actions and God knows what else. And so I'm hoping that they get the thing in order so that people who honor and love each other can make a way to live a life together. I remember early on in the gay community, in the LGBT community, there were a lot of questions and problems people were having about them adopting kids.
Yes.
Now they've gotten beyond that, and I would love to see the statistics in terms of what is the outcome, or what are the statistics of a healthy environment with healthy individuals in that family, with in an engagement where people said if there are two gay individuals raising a kid, then the kid will come up gay and they won't be able to deal with this and that and da da da. I would love to see the statistics on that, because I think it's 100% false.
And it's interesting that the way that they're voting on this in the Senate, again, Rob Portman, who was very much against same-sex marriage and other issues, because, again, being a Republican, that a few years ago, his son came out. And so that's one. And however, Senator Portman's leaving office.
Yeah.
So he has nothing to lose. So what the bill is saying is that if, for example, if Ohio, who has both a Republican House and Senate, we also have a Republican governor, Mike DeWine, who just got reelected, that if they go ahead and they make same-sex marriage illegal here in Ohio, that if a couple goes to another state, I'll just say like Pennsylvania or West Virginia, and they go ahead and they get married there, what this bill is saying is that, okay, you can go ahead and ban same-sex marriage here in this state, but if somebody else is legally married in another state, they can come back here and they have the same rights and privileges as married people. So this isn't a perfect bill. Absolutely not. However, being that we are in the climate that we're in and we have the Supreme Court that we do, that this is probably the best thing that, and again, look what there were 12 or 13 Republicans that went ahead and broke rank, that went ahead and said, we need to have this taken care of before the House goes ahead and is run by the Republicans by the narrowest of margins. And also, luckily, again, that the Senate was, again, that they were, we did not have a red wave. We went ahead and we had people, again, we had young people, we had women who were concerned about again, Roe v. Wade, and again, their rights for them and their daughters. They went ahead and they went out and voted. So that's one of the reasons why, again, we have to hold our elected officials accountable here. So,
well,
all right. Go ahead, Z.
I just going to say real quick on that midterm, for the first time, 2 gay governors that were elected.
Yes.
Which was the first. We got the one Gen Z that's 25. We even have maybe it was New Hampshire. There was a trans person that I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure it was New Hampshire. But the views of the people are changing.
Yes.
And the politicians have to be in step with their constituents, or they're not going to be able to represent. And quite frankly, just like in all of the industries in our country, you pick one: education, industry, business, education. It is time for the older individuals that are still there to start turning these positions and turning the reins over to younger people, because we're
Absolutely.
continually messing up the playing field, and then we're going to be out of the game, and we're going to leave them with all the messed up fields. Let them come in now and begin to work on fixing them and helping.
So give another shout out to your wonderful community. How can people get a hold of you?
Again, you can get to us online with www.csldenver.org, or if you're in the Denver metro area, stop by and see us at 10 a.m. Mountain Time on the first and third Sunday at 216 South Grant Street. It's on the corner of Grant and Cedar. There's parking, lovely community, and we would love to see you there to come join the community, help us do some of this work that needs to be done.
Well, the music is going, and that means that we're done. It means that Diego will cut us off.
Yes.
Elzia Sekou, thank you for being my friend, my colleague. Thank you so much for all the good that you do in the world. Please check out the stream, which is also here on New Thought Media Network on Sundays. Reverend Z, thank you so very much. Many blessings to you. Happy holy days to you and your family.
Yes, thank you so much. Same to you, and love around the house.
All right, thank you. All right, time for us to go here. And so if you'd like more information about what we're doing here, go to ntmedia.org. We're doing so much good for the world. Again, consider being a monthly donor here, because again, that every dollar that we get here gets the message out there. We have so many open doors. Please help us. So ntmedia.org/donate. On behalf of myself and Reverend Elzia Sekou and all of our staff here, this is Reverend Michael Mangus, again, wishing you a wonderful week.
Thanks for joining us this evening for Friday's Fireside Chat with Pastor Michael Mangus. Join us again next week at 8 Eastern, 6 Mountain for more spiritual conversations for today. For more information and replays of past shows, please visit the New Thought Radio and Media Network's Facebook page. Until next week, may God bless you richly and abundantly.
Welcome, and thank you for tuning in to the Sunday services at Center for Spiritual Living, Denver. We are a loving and prospering community in the heart of Denver and online. We now conduct hybrid services, continuing our transmissions online weekly, as well as meeting in person on the first and third Sunday of each month at the historic Grant Avenue Community Center and Sacred Place, located at 216 South Grant Street, Denver, Colorado. All are welcomed here. A place, space, and face of love. We are a spiritual community practicing universal principles that enrich our lives. We are grateful that you have blessed us with your presence. While online,